Hi folks, John Sargent here with Deb Drake, and back to have a conversation with you on to our next phase. And basically, Deb, what I want to speak to you about right now is the road to wellness. And the road to wellness, pulling all these evaluation tools that we have together and the ideas of our frequencies within our system and our knowledges that we have that we're going to share with people, etc. There is a road to wellness that everybody has to go, and the informed people of today are getting more and more information. And basically, I guess I have to ask the question is, what is the truth about going along this road to wellness? And how can people identify, in your opinion, obviously it's our opinions of where we're going, and it can be controversial from time to time, but this road to wellness, it's got some pit stops, it's got some bumps and grinds and hills and valleys and so on. So do you want to speak a little bit about that? Because people are in, I would say, in a state of misery in a lot of cases, and I know that you have a bit of an explanation for.
Well, let's just say I hate suffering. I don't like to suffer myself. I don't like to see my family suffer. I don't like to see my patients suffer. I don't like to see my society or even my medical union and the regulatory bodies suffer in the dark. And going along a journey that is from life to death is going to be a windy road. It's never really ever a straight line, and it's never ever the same road for any two people. The thing is, nobody could go along that road without stopping for a gas stop somewhere along, let alone a pee stop. You have to have some junction points where you can check in and see how you're doing.
So that's eating and elimination as well.
Exactly.
You know, what goes in your mouth and what goes out of your body is all the process.
I couldn't have said it better. So when I say what is the road to wellness, what I really mean is your mouth to your anus is that long and winding road of digestion and nutrition where the outside world is passing through the donut hole in you, but you're absorbing from that road the nutrition or the gas for your car. You're absorbing the scenery of how beautiful or ugly it could be. If you're driving through a dump, it might not be as smelling as nice as a rose garden. And most people like to have a nice vacation. They don't want to have a bad time on the road of life.
So it's lifestyle and choices.
It's lifestyle and choices, but accessibility to those can be truncated based on where you live, how much money you have, what your education is, if you even know what you need. So my goal is to try and make it a bit more equal opportunity, as in a health democracy where everybody has equal access to get the best health for themselves.
Okay.
And that roadway has to be defined as keeping all of the notes of your piano in your orchestra pit, as we talked about in chakras, in balance, so that your alignment in your car and your steering is driving up the center line of the road, not driving off into the ditch. Now, if you blow one tire on the road, you might have a blowout and you could fix it on your own, and you could hobble along and get the rack out and change your own tire. But if you ran over a bunch of glass or a transport truck hit you and you knocked your entire car off the road, you might need intervention from a hospital or another healthcare practitioner or someone else to help realign you and get you back on your road to health. So I'm not saying that everybody in the world can do it all by themselves. We have to have systems by regulatory bodies and governments help those who have crashed get back on the road. But I believe that we're spending all this money on everybody crashing all over the place, and there's so much debris on the roadway. Who can get by? The people who need access to care are being denied because there's so much a lineup ahead of them. And
a lot of it's unnecessary as well. We see a lot of unnecessary lineups because people aren't.
For sure.
They're not learning. They're wanting to be taken care of.
If you go through the airport, they have a line for people who are patriots of your country and then one for visitors. There's different lineups for different things. But if everybody had the right passport, they'd zip right through their health care, right?
Right.
We don't have a health passport system where we even see what the guy has what other countries have you traveled to, sir? Have you been in a country that had a tropical disease that you shouldn't be coming back to? Well, what about in healthcare? We have people coming to an emergency room. We don't even have a healthcare record on them in a universal healthcare electronic medical record that even tells me that this guy's a drug addict and he's been to 20 other clinics looking for drugs before he got to me. So we need a universal healthcare system that has universal access to what is my individual health. And we have now miniaturization of healthcare records where you could carry a key fob that had your whole healthcare on it, and you could go to
electronic health records are moving towards that, and regulatory bodies and governments are spending tremendous amounts of money on it. It isn't for us to adjudicate where it is, but other than the fact of saying, what the heck are you doing with the money?
Okay, but think about it even in a more global sense. If you were the toll bridge operator on that road and you saw all these refugees coming down the road that are sick with something, surely to gosh, somewhere you're going to phone up somebody and say, hey, everybody who's come along through the thing is missing their left leg this week. There must be something chopping off their left legs up the stream. We should be sending somebody up the road and seeing who's chopping off those legs up the stream.
Yes, yes.
But because we don't have an electronic medical record and therefore we can't get aggregate data of everybody together, we don't even have any clue what the needs of a population are, let alone an individual.
Well, and again, in our best triage technology, we have been working, you and I and others that we know, in gathering this information, and it's meeting resistance because it is out of the norm. And one of the things that I've had come at me is the fact that, you know, why are you trying to live outside of the rules? Why are you trying? And really, I'm much like you. I'm not. I remember watching a show with Dr. Oz and Dr. Mercola, and a lot of people have heard of Dr. Mercola. And he's a doctor of osteopathy. He's not a medical doctor, so he's in the complementary and alternative medicine side. And Dr. Oz, who is a cardiologist and trained in the medical world, rightfully so, is saying, hey, I didn't know that, I didn't know that, I didn't know that. But one of the questions during the interview was, he said to me, well, why, or not to me, I'm sorry, to Dr. McCullough, why are you so controversial? Why don't people like you? Why don't people all come around you? And I'm feeling very much the same as you do. We're not breaking any rules. We're living within the rules, but we're trying to make new ones. And in trying to make new ones, it meets resistance. And in meeting resistance, it causes people to say we're on the outside. Well, if we're going to live, and you hear it all the time now, live outside the box. All my life I've lived outside of the box. All your life you've lived outside of the box. The associates that I have live outside of the box, and that's why the leadership lives outside the box. If you want to be a follower, jump back in the box. It's an easy ride. We're not on the easy ride road. You know, if I wanted to retire, I could have retired. In fact, I've retired a number of times, and that means just doing nothing for nothing. I can't do that. That's not my makeup. That's not Deb's makeup. Folks, we're here to share with you. And at the beginning of this segment, I talked a little bit about misery. And it's spelled M-I-S-I-R-E. And Deb has a little bit of an analogy to that. Would you like to say that one?
If you spell it and you rhyme it out, that sounds like miser. And in a miserly way, we're stingy because we don't have money, we don't have resources, and so we're giving a stingy kind of healthcare these days. A miserly healthcare compared to what I know is available. And while my colleagues, even learned psychiatrists, have told me recently, I don't believe you can measure any of the things that you've said, even though I've presented them with 23 bankers' boxes filled with research showing that it's already true, that this technology is already here.
That's a lot of pages.
This is beyond 16 years of my trying to tell conventional medicine that you don't have to think that the technology is coming. It is already here. But another definition of miserly is the word misery. Monetary ignorance, skepticism, inertia, resistance equals elitism. That's what's going on in our healthcare system. Elitism. Yeah. Elitism is not health democracy. It allows certain people to get ahead of the line because they have whatever. There are complaints about two-tiered medical system. I don't care what tier you call it. I want every individual to have equal access and equal opportunity like a human right. I believe that the human rights for your own health care will make a good body and therefore a good family member, therefore a good community member, therefore a good country. And if all of us were all well, can you imagine how productive our world would be?
Wow, yeah. It'd be...
But if we're all continuing to be sick and spending 2/3 of our healthcare budget on those who are sick and being employing hundreds of thousands of healthcare workers to keep the status quo of people sick, and yet all those people are so sick they can't work to pay for the drugs that make the industry that are making the economics, then our North American society has got to collapse out of that model. You can no longer have the sick people trying to take care of sicker people.
Yes, yes.
You have to have well people being educated to become well to get the rest of their family well so that it's a progressive thing out of sickness, What we see instead right now is progressively more and more larger numbers or proportions of people getting sick, spending more and more money without the benefit of the resolution. No economic person in the world would say that's a good business model.
Well, folks, this all comes from our observations here in the North American market, and some of our viewers will be coming from overseas, etc.
And it's just my opinion only.
Of course, these are our opinions, but our observations. Mm-hmm. And, I'm sitting here as a person that since 1978, I have not had a pharmaceutical in my body. I have not taken a medication in my body. There was once with an antibiotic that it was necessary, and I believe that. But otherwise, it's been a case of just having a lifestyle change. And weight-wise, I've been up and I've been down, and I'm a work in progress, and I'm back and forth. But I'm always conscious about what I'm putting into my system, and work to do that. And that's really what we want to do, is we want to assist you to have the best lifestyle that you can have, be on the road to wellness. Let us help you navigate. Let us teach you how to read the compass. If we can teach you how to read the compass, then you will get back on the path. And we can talk about that in future. So thanks for joining us for this segment. We've got more to talk to you about again. And John and Deb from BEST08.com going to sign off for this segment and see you again soon. So thanks for dropping by. Anything to close off with, Deb?
Well, I'm just saying, why would you travel anywhere on the road to wellness without a GPS system these days?
These days, computerization is what it's about. We've got the tools. Come and see us, BEST08.com. Bye for now.